After enduring through the results from his last movie, the ogre had one last chance to get his head back in the game. The executive decided to give him one more movie and put his journey to a close. Although he didn't receive much dislike at his third movie, nobody really talked about the fourth one that much. But only one question remains: did the ogre found his happily ever after?
After enduring the negative reception from the third movie, DreamWorks decided to give one more go with Shrek, sort of. But when this movie was released in 2010, it was marketed as the final chapter, leaving Puss in Boots a spin-off movie all to himself. While Shrek 4 was the 5th highest grossing movie of that year, DreamWorks decided to stop making Shrek movies and just resort into specials and YouTube videos. But after Universal bought DreamWorks Animation, they figured, let's just make the 5th movie Shrek Reboot or whatever it's going to be called. Either way, we still had to look over the last movie to see how it temporarily ended.
Welcome to another episode of the Wonder Reviews. Let's wrap out Shrek Month with a final chapter with Shrek Forever After.
Shrek goes through his daily family life, but he's not all that happy, so much so that he snapped on his kid's birthday. He bumps into Rumpelstiltskin, played by Walt Dorn, who tricks him into signing a contract where Shrek gets to be a real ogre for a day in exchange of taking away the day he was born, which caused an alternate timeline where Shrek never existed, never met Donkey, nor married Fiona, who is now the captain of Resistance of Ogres, and Rumpelstiltskin has taken over far, far away. The only way for Shrek to get his life back is obviously true love's kiss from Fiona before time runs out for him. And already this movie is not really new, and you already know it. It's the Wonderful Life formula, where we see what if the main character was never born and how will it affect everyone. And in the end, the main character realized he's already living a good life with the ones he loves and cares the most. Not only does it make the plot predictable on Shrek's goal and have Fiona fall in love with him, but it actually contains a lot of plot holes connected to the other movies. If Shrek never existed, what happened to the other villains like Prince Charming, the Fairy Godmother, and especially Lord Farquaad? Wasn't the latter responsible for outlawing fairy tale creatures and send them to exile and try to send someone to save Fiona so he could become king? Okay, so is there anything in this movie that did better than the third? Well, there are two things. One is the humor. It's not laugh out loud funny like the other two films, but I did remember laughing at some moments in the film. And I do like the relationship between Shrek and Fiona in this alternate timeline, which was one of the most memorable plot elements in the series. And to be fair, the pacing is much better and it has its moments to be emotional and heartwarming. In case you're wondering, no, there's not much fairy tale jokes in this movie like the other two movies. There are some unique concepts and interpretation on the new characters, but they're not focused on here. It is what it's supposed to be about, Shrek and Fiona, which can be a bit complicated with the characters in this movie. For the movie that's a wonderful life story, don't expect any of these characters to have any prominent changes. I'm not saying these characters are bad in this one, they do have their moments. It's basically a what-if scenario if Shrek was never born. Speaking of Shrek, he's actually one-dimensional in the sequel. He goes through the generic trope that he wants his life as an ogre again, but then realized he already had a perfect life when he had Fiona and his kids. As for his friends, they each have a despairing character trait when Rumpelstiltskin took over the kingdom. Like Donkey is one of Rumpel's slaves before Shrek rescued him but is afraid of him. Puss in Boots is a fat cat who retired from being a swordsman. And Fiona is the rebel and leader of the ogres who Shrek has to earn her true love's kiss in order to reset everything. The one good thing I can say about their alterations, it does make them more interesting. Donkey is still funny, there's some nice interactions between Shrek and Fiona despite they're in war with the villain. And it is fitting that Puss acts like Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast, where he definitely senses the romantic chemistry between them. The only alterations that don't offer a lot are some of Shrek's fairy tale friends. It would have been cool if we see more of Gingy as a gladiator, but these characters don't really appear a lot. As for the new characters, there's the Pied Piper, who is conceptually interesting that he can control any creature with his flute. And all the other ogres and witches are just there to team up with the good guys and the bad guy. I'll admit that it is neat that there's more ogres besides the two leads, but none of them, including the main ones of the group, don't play an important role in the movie, nor have a distinguished personality or trait. Finally, there's the main villain, Rumpelstiltskin. He is a decent villain, being this outraged little trickster, and you can tell Walt Dorn did have fun playing him. Which I'm now realizing that this Rumpelstiltskin is not like the other one from the third movie, along with a few other characters in the Shrek universe.
Why don't we make everything a multiverse? Look, the Spyros are fighting Dark Spyro. Oh no, the Twizzler has unleashed the Ozverse. Look, E.T. and Mac, together at last.
Anyways, the animation continuously stays good throughout the film. The character designs are still well detailed for the original or fairy tale characters. Even in the alternate timeline, they are given nice textures in their furs or outfits, indicating that they are living in a dystopian society. The character animation is actually really good with this sequel with some of the chase or action scenes. Whenever Shrek gets into a parallel situation like a broomstick ride or facing against Dragon, it can get a lot of fun. And sometimes it can get creative during the Pied Piper's dance sequence. But then comes the background, which is a mixed bag. It is interesting to see Far Far Away looking apocalyptic after Rumpelstiltskin took over, or at the beginning where the Poison Apple becomes this cheerful birthday party location. But there are no new locations in the Shrek universe we haven't seen before other than Rumpel's Golden Palace. Yes, there's the ogre's hideout, but it's just a dark forest with nothing unique about it. But on the plus side, the movie does present some amazing special effects when Rumpel's contract magic comes into play.
The animation is nice, it's just not as extravagant compared to the other two movies, and there's little to no updated features since it was released in 2010, and this was the same year that we got Tangled, Toy Story 3, and How to Train Your Dragon. So the only thing I can say about Shrek 4 is that it's just decent.
Shrek Forever After is not as good as the first two movies, but it is much better than Shrek 3. There are still some issues like a predictable story and uninteresting characters whether they're old or new. Does it make it bad? Not really. The animation is decent, there are a few funny jokes, and there are some likable characters. However, I only recommend this to those die-hard Shrek fans that just want to finish the movies off. The rest are just rent it for curiosity or simply skip it. I know it's not much of a finale for the main Shrek series, but hey, a normal finale is better than a negative finale. I'm gonna give the fourth and sort of last Shrek movie a C.
And that was Shrek Month. Thank you guys so much for watching my Shrek reviews. We may have to end the last review on an average grade, but don't worry, Shrek is doing good for right now. And I'm not talking about a fifth movie in development, I'm talking about the other Shrek movies outside the main movies. They're doing pretty well so far, whether it be a spin-off Puss in Boots movie, a TV special like Scare Shrekless, a Broadway Shrek musical, and all those covers, remixes, parodies, and bizarre and crazy memes that have been uploaded all over the internet. In other words, Shrek, Donkey, Fiona, and all their friends are living happily ever after. I'm Matt Harpatrick. Now if you'll excuse me, I gotta watch a basketball game between the witches and the ogres.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe me for a new review and other project every week. I'll see you soon.